Hey everyone, I'm Scott Cunningham, aka Scott's Business, and today we're going to be talking about gold-pegged stablecoin cryptocurrencies. It's quite a mouthful, but really it's just being able to buy gold that is backed one-to-one, and it's in the form of cryptocurrency. So it's all of these different options are essentially saying that they've got gold, they're storing it somewhere. Typically, it's priced out by the gram, sometimes by the ounce. It varies, but either way, they've got the one-to-one. They're storing it somewhere, and typically you're also able to send in the crypto and redeem the gold physically as well. I looked at the top recommendations from Crypto Coin Market Cap. There really aren't as many as you'd think that are actually reliable, have a lot of volume, etc. So we're going to dive into gold-backed crypto. Does it even make sense to be investing in it at all? What advantages does it have over actual physical gold investing? And does it make sense to even invest in that versus Bitcoin and other scarce assets? We're going to be diving into all of this today and more after a quick word from my sponsor today, which is actually me. The best thing that you can do to help me out is just to like, share, subscribe, and ideally watch this on decentralized blockchain platforms that will reward me for your engagement and viewership. Highly appreciated. And yeah, let's get back to the video. So I'll just pull up on my screen. This is the recommendation from the 5 leading gold-backed cryptocurrencies from CoinMarketCap, and that's Paxos Gold, Perth Mint Gold Token, Digix Gold, Global rather, Tether Gold, Meld Gold. And yeah, I mean, this one was kind of hard to actually like utilize and track and find places to trade it on. I'm sure there's a way to do it, but it's too much effort. So Perth Mint does not track super accurately, neither does Digix. From what I could see, it doesn't look like it's tracking super accurately to gold, or nearly as accurately from what I could view as Paxos and Tether Gold. The issue with Tether Gold is that in the recent removal of all these different cryptocurrencies from Uniswap, they included Tether Gold. So it kind of got smacked down with all of those tokenized stocks and things like that. So it's been delisted in a lot of places. So if I had to nail it all down to one at the end of the day, it would be Paxos Gold. And just for your reference here, this is a year chart for Paxos. This is the year chart for Tether. Very, very similar because they're actually tracking very accurately with gold. But you'll notice actually that gold has not performed extremely well in recent years. While gold is a great asset and generally it's trending up, I mean, even in the last 10 years, it hasn't changed dramatically unless you bought, past 2013. So while gold is a very good defensive asset, I mean, at the end of the day, if you're comparing this to many other cryptocurrencies, it's not really, comparing very well. So that's really important to keep in mind. And the other cryptocurrencies, even the ones that aren't as accurately pegged from my opinion or from what I could see, all of these are on here, which is nice. You got DGX, PAXG, and all of them really, but except for XAUT. I mean, it's on here, but you can't actually trade it because it was removed in that whole debacle. And you can see here that if you try to do it, it is an unsupported asset, unfortunately. Anyways, though, Uniswap aside, you've also got to consider that almost every gold option that I've seen is built on the Ethereum blockchain. So you've also got to factor in the amount of money that you're going to be spending on transaction fees. One of the big solutions or reasons to even use crypto-backed gold is to get around some of the inadequacies of regular gold, and some of those are high transaction fees, because you have to, if you want to get the full value for your gold, you have to actually go in and bring it to someone like a professional. They have to make sure it is real gold and go through that process with you, versus you know, you could go to like a cash for gold store and get significantly less because it's not like an expert who's going to go through all these tests, or maybe they even will, but they're not going to give you the same amount. So you do have to go through that. That's a process to actually receive the gold. A lot of times you have to ship it. It took up to a month to actually get the gold. So there's all these different, and you have to pay for the shipping costs. So there's all these different fees and lots of wait time attached to physical gold. Plus, you have the issue of having it being stolen because you can't hold it in a decentralized wallet. So if you put it in the bank, you know, you're at the whims of the bank. If you keep it at home, it could be physically stolen or lost. So there's lots and lots of different drawbacks to physical gold. And a lot of those are improved with crypto, but because a lot of these are on Ethereum currently with the current Ethereum gas fees, you're not really getting around those transaction fees, and you actually might end up spending more money on the transaction fees than you would with physical gold. So that is a massive, massive downside to doing that. Though, you know, it is nice to be able to have that diversification with your crypto into gold. I would argue, just looking at the charts, bring this back up, just looking at the charts and how poorly gold has performed over the past 10 years, that even with the volatility of Bitcoin, you're still probably better off just trading Bitcoin or investing in Bitcoin rather. Because if we look at Bitcoin over the last, several years, it's really just been it's mostly going up. There are dips, but there's dips in gold too. So gold isn't that safe. You could have seen a massive loss if you had sold after 2013 for a long time. Like you could have seen huge losses here. And, that's really unfortunate, but it really does seem like a lot of the run up for gold has already happened, and maybe it's going to keep going up alongside inflation. I'm sure it will, but, gold isn't as great as it's kind of put out to be. When we look at Bitcoin, generally you've got a very good uptrend, and you don't have to wait years and years and years to recoup losses. For me, it only took about 3 years when I bought in. I bought in here, it went down, I bought in 2017, not there. It was the last run, which looks very, very small compared to this. But a lot of times you can buy in at the peak of Bitcoin and, wait a couple years and then you're in the green. So, I think it's important to keep this in mind. Obviously, Bitcoin is way more volatile, way more risky to do anything in cryptocurrency. And, it doesn't have that underlying gold asset, which a lot of people would appreciate. But Bitcoin truly is digital gold in that all those things that I mentioned, Bitcoin has cheaper transaction fees. Bitcoin can be sent instantly. There's no fraudulent Bitcoin. Lots and lots of issues with gold, or drawbacks rather, just negatives to holding gold. A lot of those are eliminated with cryptocurrency, at least specifically with Bitcoin, if you're trying to hold a scarce asset that will go up alongside inflation and generally appreciate over time. Now, while none of this is financial advice, more so financial entertainment, if you will, this is very important to keep in mind, because for a long time, I thought it would be great to be diversifying into gold. I started off by buying physical gold, and after realizing how just clumsy and tedious and just really just not a well optimized or efficient process with gold transactions, acquiring it, storing it, etc., I realized that this isn't going to be a very useful asset to me. While it is good to have, if I need to quickly sell it, if lots of things might come up, there's too many complications built in. But with crypto, you could have a huge run up overnight, get an alert, wake up and sell. Now, I think that's much more liquid. And the fact that you can do that it could be the difference of a lot of money depending on how much you've invested. If you're invested in gold and it starts going crazy with its value, you've got to get it all together. You've got to go and actually go through that process that I mentioned. And if you're carrying around hundreds of thousands of dollars of gold too, you probably are a little concerned about being robbed, etc. So there's lots and lots of caveats to physical gold versus crypto gold and then versus Bitcoin. If I was going to be forced to pick one at the end of the day, I would go with Bitcoin. The only advantage physical gold has is that you could potentially directly spend it and say the internet went out forever or the electricity around the world, stopped working and we had a global blackout. You could still use gold, but I feel like that would basically be an apocalyptic scenario, and I don't know if gold would even really be valued that highly. Those kinds of excuses or that reasoning isn't a very sound way to invest. Investing just based on when you think the apocalypse is going to happen, it's not a very sound way to build money, in my opinion. So I've opted for Bitcoin because this is truly the future. And yeah, so that's pretty much it. Let me just bring up my notes, make sure I touched on everything. Yeah, the main comparison was just that if you were going to buy crypto, PAXG is probably better because you can still trade it on Uniswap, and it's on significantly more exchanges, whereas XAUT is only found on a few exchanges, and it was even removed from Uniswap, which is really unfortunate, but it is what it is. And at the end of the day, I don't really advise holding derivatives of assets. Like, I don't like the idea of wrapped Bitcoin or all these different things that people are creating where it's not even the real asset anymore. It's like an asset of the asset of the asset. So I'm not a huge fan of doing that with gold either, but I can appreciate that if you do want to have gold but still have the versatility of crypto, that is the best way that you could do that with either of those two coins. However, I still recommend that if you're trying to hold a scarce asset online, like in a digital currency, the best one is still going to be Bitcoin by far. It's still going to be much more volatile, but at the end of the day, the average gain for Bitcoin since inception, I believe, is still over 200%, whereas gold is not even remotely close to that. So you decide at the end of the day what is more risky, what is too risky for you. But for me, I think Bitcoin makes the most sense. It's funny because a lot of people in my investing groups nowadays would say investing in just Bitcoin and Ethereum is too conservative, and people are looking to play much more risky plays. So, I would treat Bitcoin as digital gold for the most part. Obviously, there is tokenized gold, but it's just not going to provide you those same level of benefits that you're going to get from holding Bitcoin. So those are my thoughts on crypto tokenized gold. There's so many out there. I mean, you could get really down a rabbit hole just looking through potential options, but it's going to be hard to really verify that they actually have the gold, they're storing it properly, safely, securely, and reliable, like the company is reliable to not steal your gold, because again, they could do something malicious. They could take your gold themselves. They could be, only really giving you 0.9 ounce, like 0.9 grams or whatever, when you're supposed to get 1 full gram. All these different things. Who knows? Cryptocurrency allows for a lot of anonymity and lack of accountability. So I wouldn't just be going and investing in random gold tokens. These few are probably okay. I haven't deeply looked into how they store the gold and ensure that it's actually backed 1-to-1, because that's always going to be a concern for any kind of stable backed cryptocurrency, whether it's backed by US dollars or it's backed by gold or what have you. One of the big concerns is always verifying that that's actually legitimate, and that there can't be some sort of human error or malice introduced that can ruin that process and centralize it to a point of wherever they control. Anyways, those are my thoughts. I still think that you're way better off with Bitcoin. Let me know what you think, though. What are you investing in? Does the idea of tokenized crypto gold interest you at all? Are you just sticking with Bitcoin? What would you suggest otherwise for a scarcity-based asset and, like something that is hedged against inflation? What are you investing in? Let me know all that good stuff in the comments below. If you did watch to the very end, make sure to comment hashtag #1ham in the comments below, and that way I know that you watched to the very end, and I really appreciate those of you who do. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. I'm Scott Cunningham, aka Scottsy Business, signing off. Cheers.